Hello, my dear friends and students. Welcome back to my class. So, we were discussing about the biogeochemical cycles. We have discussed many under the environmental study. So, I'm Professor Rosilias, and this content has been developed by me and by Dr. Iqbal Imam. We both are working in Department of Wildlife Sciences, AMU Aligarh. So, under the biogeochemical cycle, today we'll be discussing about the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is very important. So, the flow of rotation of elements between the biotic and abiotic domain of an ecosystem is known as the biogeochemical cycle. And today we will be discussing about the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is a core component of amino acid, which are the building block of proteins, and of nucleic acid, which are the building block of genetic material, that is the DNA and RNA. We know what are the genetic materials. So, nitrogen is very important, and that is what we are going to discuss today in this lecture. So, nitrogen cycle can help plants to synthesize chlorophyll from the nitrogen compounds. It helps in converting in inert nitrogen gas into a usable form for the plants through the biochemical process, and it in the process of ammonification, the bacteria help in decomposing the animal and plant matter, which indirectly help to clean up the environment. So, ammonification is not only converting the nitrogen, but also it is cleaning up the environment by the decomposing the animal and plant matter. So, nitrates and nitrites are released into the soil, which help in enriching the soil with the necessary nutrient required for cultivation. So, whatever is required, whatever nutrient is required, nitrogen nutrient is required, is being released in the soil, and that's how they reach to the plants. So, nitrogen is an integral component of cell and inform many crucial compounds and important biomolecules. Nitrogen is also cycled by human activities such as the combustion of fuels and the use of nitrogen fertilizers. So, these process increases the level of nitrogen containing compounds in the atmosphere. The fertilizers containing nitrogen are washed away in lakes, rivers, and result in evaporation again in the environment. The atmosphere is the predominant reservoir of nitrogen, and atmosphere has about 78% of the nitrogen, and that nitrogen we have to bring back to the soil, to the plants, to the animals. So, atmospheric nitrogen serve as the ultimate source, but aerial nitrogen, the most abundant component of air, is rather inert chemical and actually cannot be used as such by the majority of the organism. It has to be converted. So, it must first be fixed by specialized organism or by industrial processes. So, without fixing, we cannot use the nitrogen, neither we nor the plants. So, nitrogen cycle involves four different steps. One is the ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, and nitrogen fixation. So, now after the nitrogen fixation in the plants, we can use the nitrogen through the plants. So, nitrogen cycle depends upon at least four different kind of bacteria known as the decay causes, the nitrifiers, the denitrifiers, and nitrogen fixer. So, there is a regular circulation of nitrogen through the air, soil, plants, and animal. This is the way they circulate from air to animal. And though the most common unusable nitrogen source in the nitrate ion, that is NO3, which may be used by plant as a mineral metabolite from the environment and may be converted by them into other nitrogen containing components of living matter. So, nitrates are added to the environment through soil and environment through fertilizers, dissolution of rocks by water, combination of atmospheric nitrogen with oxygen by lightning, that is again one of the process. Nitrates so form each reach the soil by rain and through the process of nitrification. So, these are the nitrates are added to the environment through these activities. And nitrogen make up DNA in the form of nitrogenous base. All the genetic material are made up of the having the nitrogen base. So nitrogen is very very important for the genetic build-up. And there are different forms of nitrogen. They exist primarily in the form of dinitrogen, that is N2, dinitrogen gas. There are various organic and inorganic form of nitrogen. Organic form of nitrogen constitute a high percentage of the total nitrogen, that is the organic. And plant can only utilize certain specific inorganic form of nitrogen. Nitrogen is present in several forms including organic nitrogen, ammonia, ammonium nitrate, nitrite, nitrate, nitrous oxide, nitric oxide, and inorganic nitrogen. So these are the different forms of the inorganic form of the nitrogen. So this is the cycle. Which is showing. This is freely present. This is the nitrate ion, rock dissolution, lightning, and fertilizers. And this figure explains it's going for the denitrification and it's producing N2, and then with the help of the nitrogen fixer bacteria and organic nitrogen which going to the and here this is going to the organic plant, making the plant nitrogen through the nitrogen fixing bacteria. They are fixing the nitrogen in the form of the nodules and all in the plants, and this is going to the when the animals are eating, this is going to the animal. And also organic nitrogen makes the NH4. So the NO3 is which is maybe used by plants as a mineral metabolite from the environment and may be converted by them into amino, other nitrogen containing compounds for living matter. So this is the cycle. This is the cycle how the nitrogen cycle works. From the environment it goes to the plant by nitrogen fixing and bacteria and plants. When the animals eat the plants, they get the nitrogen, and again combustion and the other method, it going back to the soil and the environment. So this is the continuous cycle going on, and that's how we have to take nitrogen from the environment. So the under the nitrogen cycle, the first step is the ammonification. Plant are not capable of directly utilizing atmospheric nitrogen. Few bacteria help to converting atmospheric nitrogen into form that can be utilized by plants. So that is called ammonification. In the nitrogen cycle, the organic nitrogen of the plants and animal is utilized, is ultimately broken down by the action of saprotrophic fungi and bacteria to ammonia in a process called ammonification. So this is the plant decomposition by the soil bacteria, ammonification, and this is the ammonia, available ammonia. This is called ammonification. After the ammonification, there is a nitrification. So nitrification is the sum of the ammonia is oxidized to form nitrate and nitrites and nitrate. Okay, through the action of autotrophic, chemotrophic bacteria like nitrosomas and nitrobacters. So nitrosomas and nitrobacters are the nitrifying bacteria that converts ammonia to nitrite. So this process is called nitrification, and the energy releases support the existence of nitrifying bacteria. The conversion of ammonium to nitrate is performed by the nitrifying bacteria, and we have just discussed about the nitrifying bacteria, nitrosomonas and nitrobacters. So in the primary stage of nitrification, the oxidation of ammonia to nitrate is performed by nitrosomonas species which convert ammonia to nitrite. Nitrosomonas is a nitrifying bacteria that converts ammonia to nitrite. Other bacterial species such as nitrobacter are responsible for the oxidation of the nitrites to nitrate. So this is the formula. Ammonia gas to toxic to plants is toxic to plants. So NH3 converted into NO2 and NO3. So this is the process. This is called nitrification. After the main step in nitrification are as follow. In this stage, ammonia is oxidized to nitrate in presence of ammonium oxidizing bacteria like ammonia and oxygen. They altogether produce the nitrogen dioxide plus 3 molecules of hydrogen and 2 molecules of 2 electrons. Step 2, nitrite is oxidized to nitrate in the presence of nitrite oxidizing bacteria. Nitrogen dioxide, which had been released from the ammonification, nitrogen dioxide plus water, they gives to the nitrate plus 2 molecules of hydrogen and 2 electrons. The third step is the denitrification. After the ammonification, there is a nitrification and then comes to the denitrification. Denitrification is a microbial process that convert nitrate to nitrogen gas. That is called denitrification. So, anaerobic soil bacteria, for example, Pseudomonas denitrificans, act on nitrate in the process of denitrification, by which nitrogen is liberated into the atmosphere. This is called denitrification. Denitrification is a microbial process that converts nitrate to nitrogen gas. So, microorganisms break down organic matter and waste, resulting in the conversion of ammonia, a process integral to the nitrogen cycle. This decomposition process releases ammonia from uh, from organic nitrogen source such as dead organism or excretion, contributing to the nitrogen availability in the ecosystem. This is how denitrification works, and soil conditions greatly influence the fate of release of the ammonia. So, soil condition is also very important. It can volatilize, become a gas and enter the atmosphere, or be converted into the nitrogen compounds like nitrite, nitrates and nitrites through nitrification, which can be utilized by plants. Either it will go to the environment, it will go back to the environment in the form of the gas, or it will be utilized by the plants. So, it's all depend on the soil condition, what kind of soil condition we have. So, soil condition is very important, converting it into the either in the gaseous form or in the nitrate and nitrite form, so that the plants can use. So, NH4 to the NO2, NO2 can be converted into the NO3, NO3 again NO2 and nitrogen. So, this is the cycle, and it's all depend on the condition, soil quality and condition of the soil. Denitrification involves the reduction of the nitrate ion to nitrogen dioxide, dinitrogen oxide, nitrogen monoxide or nitrogen gas. Okay, so NH4, O2, ammonia nitrification, NO2, and again nitrogen oxidizing bacteria, NO3, and again N2, nitrogen gas. So, this is the denitrification involves the reduction of the nitrate to nitrite. Okay, so this is all up to the quality of the soil, what kind of soil quality we have, so that it can be retained into the soil and that can be used by the plants. Then the fourth step is the ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, and the fourth stage is the nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is a biological process. Nitrogen fixation is a biological process in which the nitrogen gas is converted into a usable form of plants and other usable form for plants and other microbes. So, the plants cannot directly use the gas, nitrogen gas, but it has to be converted, it has to be bring back to the usable form so that the plant and other microbes can use, and that process is called as the nitrogen fixation. That nitrogen fixation, lots of bacteria are involved in nitrogen fixation. We might have studied, you must have studied nitrogen fixation bacteria in the Cagenus cagen in your 10th class. So that is what we are discussing. That is the part of the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen is removed from the air by nitrogen living bacteria, which live either freely in the soil, saprophytic bacteria like Azotobacter and Clostridium, or as bionoccur in nodule bacteria like Rhizobium leguminosum in the root nodule of legume. So some blue-green alga, fungi and yeast also fix nitrogen. They convert aerial nitrogen into usable nitrogen. This is all because of the bacteria. This conversion is all because of the bacteria. So this is the nitrogen fixation. This is nitrogen gas, and it can be fixed by lightning, by nitrogen fixing bacteria, and is converted into NH3. And this is picture is showing nitrifying bacteria is converting into the NO3, and it is absorbed by the roots. Okay, this is absorbed by the roots or denitrification bacteria, and denitrification goes to the environment. So this is called as the process of nitrogen fixation. The main step in nitrogen fixation are nitrogen gas into the 2N, activation of nitrogen, and that 2N with the 3H2 makes the 2NH2. That is the actual fixation. Before the nitrogen can be fixed, it must be activated, which means that molecular nitrogen must split into two atoms of a free nitrogen. This step required an investment of energy about 160 kilocalories for each moles of nitrogen. The actual fixation steps in which two atoms of nitrogen combine with three molecules of hydrogen to form two molecules of ammonia, that is NH, release about 13 kilocalories. Thus, the two steps together require a net input of at least 147 kilocalories. The enzyme that catalyzes nitrogen fixation is called nitrogenase. Once ammonia has appeared in the soil, it can be absorbed by the roots of plants, and nitrogen can be incorporated into amino acid and then into proteins. We know amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins, and these are being used by the genetic material. If the plant is subsequently eaten by an animal, that's how nitrogen may be incorporated into a new protein. In either case, the protein ultimately returned to the soil, where it is decomposed by bacteria into the component amino acid. So there are many various kind of nitrogen fixations, symbiotic nitrogen and the non-symbiotic nitrogen. Symbiotic nitrogen means symbiosis, that is the mutual. So nitrogen is reduced by symbiotic microbial known as diazotrophs. These microbes derive nourishment from plants, roots, and in return provide nitrogen to the plants. Fine. So the interaction between these microbes and plant roots leads to the formation of the nodules on the roots. Leguminous plants have got the nodules because of the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Example of such symbiotic microbes includes rhizobium and frankia. So rhizobium and frankia are both symbiotic bacteria that live freely in the soil. They produce nodules on the roots of leguminous plants. So these are the bacteria. There are many more bacteria. We mentioned rhizobium and frankia. Then one is the symbiotic nitrogen fixation, another is the non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. So non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation means independently living soil microorganisms perform nitrogen fixation. This process is known as non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Global nitrogen fixation includes a significant contribution from non-symbiotic fixer, approximately 190 million tons. Non-symbiotic nitrogen fixers are classified into two groups. One was the symbiotic fixer, another is the non-symbiotic, and non-symbiotic is divided into further classified into two groups. One is the free living autotrophic diazotrophs, another is the free living heterotrophic diazotrophs. Autotrophic, those who can make their own food; heterotrophic means those who cannot. So, free living autotrophic diazotroph, self sufficient in food production. Autotroph means self sufficient in food production through photosynthesis. Plants are autotrophs. Utilize sunlight or chemical reaction for energy. Example, Cynospermum, Plectonema, and Tolipothrix. Free living heterotrophic diazotrophs rely on organic matter for nutrition, capable of fixing nitrogen in soil, and examples are Clostridium, Azotobacter, Clecibacilla, and Bagerinkia. So these are the non-symbiotic nitrogen fixer has been classified into two. One is the free living autotrophs, diazotrophs, and free living heterotrophs. Autotroph means those who can produce their own food. Those who can make their own food is autotrophs, and heterotrophs rely on the organic matter for the nutrition. So, nitrogen cycle in marine ecosystem, we were just discussing about the nitrogen cycle in the terrestrial ecosystem. Marine ecosystem is more or less same. The process of nitrogen cycle occur in the same manner in the marine ecosystem as in the terrestrial ecosystem. The process is same. The only difference is that it carried out by marine bacteria. The nitrogen containing compounds fall into the ocean as sediments get compressed over long period and form sedimentary rocks. Due to geological uplift, these sedimentary rocks move to land. Recent researchers have proven that the nitrogen from these rocks is released into the plant due to weathering of rocks. So, nitrogen from these rocks reaches to the plant but through the weathering of the rocks. So, nitrogen is abundant in the atmosphere, we all know, but we cannot directly use the nitrogen. We have some medium. It is usable to plants or animal unless it is converted into nitrogen compound. It is freely available, but until it is converted into nitrogen compound, we cannot use, neither the plants nor the animals use. Nitrogen fixing bacteria play a crucial role in fixing atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compound that can be used by plants, and these nitrogen compounds are, the plants absorb the unusable nitrogen compound from the soil through their roots. So, the nitrogen is freely available in the environment, but we cannot use, we need a medium, and it can be converted into the nitrogen compound, then only we and the plant can use the nitrogen, and that can be done by nitrogen fixing bacteria. They play a crucial role in fixing atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compounds that can be used by plants. The plant absorbs the usable nitrogen compound from the soil through their roots, leguminous roots we just discussed. These nitrogen compounds are used for the production of protein and other compound of the plant cell. So, these nitrogen compounds which actually converted from the atmosphere will be used for the production of the proteins and other compound in the plant cell. Animal assimilation nitrogen by consuming these plants or other animals that contain nitrogen. So that's how we get the nitrogen. We get the nitrogen from the plants, and plant get the nitrogen by the fixation. Nitrogen fixation. There are four processes we have already discussed: ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, and fixation. And fixation involves the bacterial activity, microbial activity. So that's how from environment to plant and plant to the human being and the animals. Human consume protein from these plants and animal, and nitrogen then assimilate into our body system. During the final stage of the nitrogen cycle, bacteria and fungi help decompose organic matter, where the nitrogenous compound get dissolved into the soil, which is again used by the plant. So, during the final stage of the nitrogen cycle, bacteria and fungi help decomposers help decompose organic matter where the nitrogen compounds get dissolved into the soil, which is again used by the plants. Some bacteria that convert these nitrogenous compound in the soil and turn into nitrogen gas, eventually it goes back to the atmosphere. So these set of process repeat continuously in the environment, from the environment to plants, through the conversion, plants to animals, through the assimilation, and then from animals and plants again go back to the environment. So these set of process repeats continuously and thus maintain the percentage of nitrogen in the atmosphere. So this is all about the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is very, very important because it is actually the base of the amino acids. All the amino acids are the made up of this. So we have to take nitrogen from the environment. It is freely available in the environment, but directly we cannot take, neither the plant take. We have to take it through some medium, through the ammonification, then only we get it. And we, since we are the heterotrophs, we cannot make our own nitrogen. This can be made by the plants, and we take it from the plants. So with this I should end up the class, and I will suggest you all to um, take some Kachinus kajan, that is called arhar dal, and take these and try to sow in the ground. You will, after some time when its roots are coming up, you just take out the roots and see how the rhizobium, the roots, the nodules are there, what kind of nodules are there, and these are the nodules which are actually making or fixing the bacteria in with the help of the rhizophores, rhizobium bacteria, and that's how the plants get this. So do this experiment at your own level, and hope you enjoyed the class, and further with the experiment you can enjoy. Thank you very much, and see you my next class. Thank you.